letting us know too. Appreciate that.
Okay, great. All right, let's get going here then. Okay, so lots of different things to talk about, and as Nathan already said, we're most of the time we just want to focus on being the doctor or the healthcare practitioner, which I totally get and understand, but we are also in the business of health, so that's the part we have to also be mindful of. So we're going to be talking about that tonight. So here's a little disclaimer, just that it's an educational course. I always make sure I'm giving you accurate information, but please do make sure you always do your due diligence, and especially, for different licenses in different states and different countries, always make sure you pay attention to those things. And we're happy to answer questions also. All right, here's exactly what we're going to go through tonight. I know when you start and it's an intro, it's like, come on, get into it. I'm hustling, I'm getting there. But these are all the different topics, and I promise we'll get through all of them. So just a quick little screenshot. This is my intro. I put everything on here because then I don't have to talk as much, and I can do it really fast and get into the meat of the topic tonight. So if you have more questions about me, I'm happy to answer it. The very, very short version is I personally came to functional medicine as a patient. I was super, super sick and declared permanently disabled on Social Security, and I had to go to the hospital. For those of you that are local, John Muir Infusion Center, with all the patients undergoing cancer treatment, and get a treatment every 3 weeks, and it cost over $700,000 a year. And quite frankly, it sucked. I had 8 medications, 7 specialists. I never felt better. So I found functional medicine and was able to, return to the land of the living. And when people saw me get well, they started showing up at my house. I thought, well, maybe I'll open a tiny little office. I did. And then I had 2 expansions within the first year and grew so fast. We went from 4 tiny walls and maybe less than 100 square feet to 22 walls and multiple practitioners. And then we've continued to grow, and like many of you, it's been an interesting year and a half, and have had to pivot and do some fun things. So I'm happy to talk about that too, and what it takes to be able to, withstand the challenges that come your way. What I do now, Body Love Cafe is the clinic. I'm the clinical director there. So I don't see patients anymore. I consult on cases all the time. We have multiple practitioners, and then I train and work with practitioners all around the world. Okay, I'm going to keep going. All right, so what are common concerns? This is what I hear a lot. One is that how do you grow your business? And this can be someone brand new or someone who's established, but maybe it's been a dry period, or maybe they were a hands-on body worker or did some physical technique, and now they're wanting to move into telehealth, or maybe their body's achy, things like that. My license is a DC, a doctor of chiropractic, going way, way back, but I had a completely different career in the middle. And I'm also a 5th generation female entrepreneur. And my previous business, I had a client database of 20,000 and helped them all create and build businesses. So I really get the business aspect of it. And I've been in the clinic a lot, and I've been a patient. So really, I get all different sides, and what it's like to start over. That's not always fun. Or maybe you moved. Like we just had someone who moved from California to Florida. So whatever it is, how do you grow your business? You've got the option of, more patients. Do you need to increase income? Do you need to lower expenses? Because a lot of times it's not what you make, it's what you keep, right? What about passive income? If you're just trading time for dollars, that gets old. I mean, it's fine in the beginning when you're getting launched, but you just can't do it indefinitely. We don't all stay young spring chickens, so you have to have time off. You need vacation. You need to be making money even when you're not in the office. And then running your practice, that's the business part. Systems, we'll talk a bit about those. Staffing issues, staying sane, those types of lovely things. And then some planning and some action, planning for adversity, planning for retirement. And then I have some marketing bonuses at the end. And actually, Nathan, don't let me forget, I have a super special gift that honestly only your people get. I didn't even tell anyone else about
I'm
it.
on the case. You didn't
Okay.
even tell me.
I'll forget.
That's how
I'll just
secret it
do
is.
content and keep going. Okay.
Love it.
All right. So let's start covering this. All right. So growing your business, some strategies for attracting new patient leads. You know, there's many different ways you can go about it, but one that you can do, I certainly did it myself, especially when I was starting new. I was in a situation where I was coming out of being sick and quite frankly, was totally broke. So it was really a challenging time. And I was able to build a business that was profitable from day one, no debt, no loans, and zero credit cards. I've done that many times and for other people. So there's little tricks to doing that. But I think that's helpful to not have too much pressure on yourself and have crazy loans. So teaching classes is a great way to do what I call, instead of giving back, you give up front, and it positions you as the expert. There's also nothing like, you know, really learning your content and how to connect with the patient. And when you're there having to teach someone, you learn very quick how to say it in a lay way that they understand, how to make it engaging, how to do it in a timely manner, all these different things. So it's really wonderful thing to do, great service for the community and benefit for you. And you can range from, you know, making an offer. I can teach how to do a great sales offer. I'm very non-salesy personally, so I would never even make offers during my classes. I didn't need to. If I taught great content, then the patients self-selected. And before we went virtual, we were holding just in Walnut Creek, for those of you that are local, it's like, I don't know, normal sized town, suburb of a bigger city that's not that close. And I always picked the worst traffic time, just if you know Ignacio Valley Road, 6:30 p.m., worst time ever, and I'm all the way down it. And I would teach classes and we'd have over 80 people there. I had to stand in a doorway and teach to 2 rooms, and bodies were shoved in there and no one would move and they'd stay the whole time. And I often had to cut them off and at the end be like, guys, you have to leave, get out of here. So having good content is key, and I'm happy to share more about that. And like I said, you know, often don't even have to make an offer and just patients come. And if you want to make an offer, great, you can do it. Just don't be one of those that are like really aggressive salesy. You know, that's going to get you yucky Yelp reviews. You're not going to feel good. And it's just really not necessary because so many people need us. Utilizing labs. I'm a huge fan of labs. And if you already use labs, you know how great they can be. If you don't use labs, and maybe you feel intimidated by it, please don't. They seem daunting at first, but they're quite easy to learn. We can maybe even do a class on labs down the road and what supplements pair with labs and what patient would match. It's one of my favorite topics. But if you think about a great lab and maybe a seasonal supplement sale, just educating the public about some of those things will naturally bring patients in. So one example I want to give you is a heart health class. And this was when I taught it, I've taught it a couple times. And the one I'm thinking about, it was a smaller class. So there was about 38 people in the class. And I just taught this class. And when I teach Functional Medicine Academy, I actually just give out the script, and you can even see a recording for free, no opt-in, on the Body Love Cafe website of me teaching a previous one. So we really just make it easy for people. And you can get very affordable labs, and almost everyone can order it, that show advanced heart markers instead of a traditional lipid panel. And some of these markers, they're actually known to predict the risk of heart attack or stroke in the next 1 to 6 months. So for very low cost, you can get inexpensive heart labs that are much more informative, and maybe pair that with an inflammation panel. Great value and of interest. Who wouldn't want that? So I remember the first time I just casually mentioned it, and I said, you know, instead of doing like the normal process, I will do a half-hour visit. If you get this lab, only tonight, I'm just going to say you can do a half-hour visit. I didn't give it away for free. They paid for it. But instead of having to do the whole typical exam or report of findings, I said, well, you can get the labs, do a half-hour visit. I'll go over the findings. You know, I'm not going to know everything about you because we're not doing a full intake, but we can certainly talk about these labs. And we weren't prepared for the rush. They kept us there. 34 out of 38 signed up and instantly became patients on the spot. I mentioned a few key supplements in that class. Again, you know, you can watch it. 99% of it is just straight content. So that's an example. You know, if you're starting or expanding, you're in a new place, would it help to have 34 new patients within 2 hours, right? All right, I want to mention the Well World app. You know, we're doing this with Designs for Health. Now, I don't work for Designs for Health, so I just want you to know when I talk about Designs for Health, it's because I like it. I use it. I recommend it. I use it personally. If you came in, like some people in their house, you open the pantry and there's food, and mine is just Designed for Health supplements, and they're not for patients, they're ours. So that's how my family works. And if you know about California, when we had to pack for like the fires, we were nervous and we had go bags. My teenager was instructed to go pack anything of value in her room and put it in the go bag, and she grabbed her Designs for Health supplements. I kid you not. So talk about, you know, the endorsement of a team who gets it, right? Who's seen the benefit. So anyway, I've used so many companies, and sometimes I need another one. I still use other ones, but I'd say probably 90% of what I need for patients I can get from Designs for Health. And then I might use like Emerson or some other clearinghouse for the little things that I have to get elsewhere. But I also like being disconnected from a company, whether it's a lab or a supplement, because my patients know and trust that I'm always going to tell them the best. And let's say a company goes downhill. I've had this before. I won't say names, but a supplement company I used to use before, their manufacturing went downhill. I started having a lot of patients have allergic responses and complaints. I stopped using them. But, you know, that's how easy it is to pivot, right? So anyway, my patients know I would just recommend the best of the best and what I use personally. Now, there's some other advantages as practitioners to Designs for Health. So if I'm talking to patients, you can see it right on our website. I put it on there. Why do I like it for patients? They drop ship, they have good customer service, they have good quality, they source well, they have good blends, they're clean, they're non-allergenic, there's no gluten. You know, they pay the money to get the quality supplements when they have to pay for something that's patent or trademarked. You know, a lot of people don't do that. A lot of big gurus out there, they white label stuff, and quite frankly, it's junk. So those are all the reasons from a patient perspective I like Designs for Health. Now I'm going to tell you from a practitioner, and Nathan doesn't even know this, but I say this with the practitioners I work with. You know, they can use any company they want, but here's why I tell them to use this one. First of all, I'm not a fan of FullScript and Willuvate because they pay such a small percentage. They don't give you room and flexibility to do things as a practitioner. And I like to have room to be able to give my patients a special or to do a sell or, you know, some other type of situation. I want that flexibility. Okay. With Designs for Health, you can earn up to 65%. So you don't have to give any discounts, but that's something I choose to, and I'm happy to answer why and how I use it, and what the benefits, you know, the pros and cons of that are. But the other thing is, obviously, whoever's running that place, they get it because they partnered with Well World, which is an outside company, and it's an app. So if you're not using that as a Designs for Health person, which I assume you all are, you know, it doesn't cost anything to use these supplements, so go for it. You get that for free. So we use that as a resource with patients all the time. Basically, your relationship with Designs for Health is paying the cost for that app. And then you can use that with patients in a paid way, or you can use it for free. The vast majority of the time we use it for free, but you know, it's right on the phone, and patients who like to track, you can see it, you can engage with them or not. You can just give them a meal plan. They could order supplements there. If you did a discount, you can put it in or not put it in. You can add videos, you can do handouts. I mean, I love free tools. I love all-in-one. So I hope they don't ever stop that. That's my little bit of feedback that I hope someone at Designs for Health hears. It's great. And I can tell you more about how to do that with groups, but we've done it many times with groups. It works super, super well. So besides teaching a class, a one-time thing that gets you in front of people and connecting, you can do a group, free or paid. It could be half a day. It could be just one Q&A call twice over a month, and everything else they do in an automated way on the Well World app. Or it could be a Facebook group and you engage. You know, there's no rules here. You think about what will serve you and your patients best, and then you create it. And the key is to always manage expectations, be very clear about what they're going to get. You know, try to under promise and over deliver. And then you're just going to do things and test. I've tested so many, I can give you feedback, but please don't be afraid to test things on your own. Okay, a couple groups, for example, hormone health or sleep. If you, I don't have this slide in here, but if you do visit our clinical website, you'll see we have these like 5 pillars for care. And like that first pillar, and even a little bit into the second one, is sort of that palliative finding relief. It's what do people come in with? You know, they're grumpy, they're tired, tired all day, but can't sleep at night, or they have low libido, you know, they're starting to gain a little bit of weight around the middle. Maybe they're starting to get some colds. These are the types of things that you can create a group, and it works very well. And I'll also mention too that, you know, really the best practice, and I know that there's some big names out there that teach otherwise. And some people, they don't mind taking on some risk, but since I work with a lot of people, I like to have zero risk because I'm not going to put someone else at risk, right? So the best way to practice is you see people in the states or countries or provinces that you are licensed in. And that's where you have your patient visits, even for telehealth and telemedicine. But there is an exception to that, and that is groups. And, you know, I'll always get your own legal advice, but I can tell you I've spent a lot of money with 3 different functional medicine and nutrition attorneys. Always a fun conversation and a fun Monday morning. But you can teach a group, and you can even do, you know, Q&As with them live, and they can be located anywhere. So if you want to expand outside of your licensed area, that can be a way to do it legitimately. You just don't want to have that one-on-one patient visit. That's where it can be problematic. Okay, another tip I want to give for growing your business. First of all, can you guys give me like a thumbs up or thumbs down? You're doing okay, too fast, too slow? Please feel free to put something in chat, and I will also make sure you get the recording, okay? Now, I am a fan of reducing the barrier to entry. Now I have, thanks guys, I have all different types of clients. I have some that they want the concierge practice, and that's going to have a certain look, right? It's going to be a little bit more slick. It's going to be marketed a certain way. In fact, I have a little freebie gift that will talk about who you want to market to. And I'll tell you right now, those concierge ones, they, it's the class president character code. I'm going to pause for 1 second because someone drew on the slide here. No worries. I have had it happen before. So I just, let me find out where my share button is. I'm going to stop the share real quick. And then if I reshare it, it will go back to where we were.
I didn't even know that was possible.
I know. I wouldn't have known it was possible either, except we do so many of these.
And I know it. I would have been having a field day with it if I had
you
known
eventually
that.
see it all. This is the first time we were like touching the screen and stuff. So try
Gotcha.
not to touch yours if possible. Okay, so like I said, if you're going to do that high-end concierge, high price, that's fine, but it's going to have a different look and feel to it, and you will have to have sales conversations. No problem. Otherwise, I'm a big fan of pricing based on supply and demand. We can cover a bit more of that, but especially for those who want to like get in it. Like, let's say working with supplements is new to you, or working with labs is new to you, or you just moved to Florida and you're just saying, I just want to be busy. Like, I just want to have my hands on people, or I want to be on the phone or on video with people. Then reduce that barrier to entry. How can people get in easy, quick, and fast? So for our example is we have health coaches do a no charge consult, 15 minutes. A health coach also does an intake. I can explain more about that later. And then everything is prepped by the time they get to a report of findings. That's the first time they see a practitioner. And the cost is very different. It's free for the 15 minutes. It's $95 for the hour. These are employees that are giving the service. And then when they get to the report of findings, it's $450 or $670, depending on the time. So very different, but it's reducing that barrier to begin. Now, regardless of where you fall in the pricing sort of funnel to begin, I do recommend multiple points of entry. So instead of just one way, even if a lot of people go, one way, multiple points. So one of the examples I gave is we have that no charge, intake report of findings. That's pretty much a standard, but every now and then we might teach like a heart health class, and here's a 30-minute opportunity to come in, talk to a practitioner, discuss some labs. And from there, people either decide that's all they wanted and they're done, or they just need a little bit of help, and you're going to be able to keep moving forward, maybe with some 30-minute follow-up appointments. Or they're really a lovely hot mess, like so many of us are, and they need to be on that healing journey. And let's book a full intake exam and report a finding. So it's an opportunity to make any of those decision points. Also, added value. Anytime you can add some value, that will also help grow your business. And things have a delayed response. So it's not going to all happen at once. For example, you'll see this on a later slide. Whatever you do right now is going to determine how many patients you have in March 2022. Okay? I've just done this so many times myself and for other people. Action right now will set up your March, and it's either going to be lean and you're hustling, or it'll look sort of average like what you normally do, or you're going to be busier than you've ever been before, and you've been calling Nathan or emailing me and saying, okay, what do I do? Do I open another office? Do I flee the country? Do I bring in associates? That kind of stuff. That's how you do it. You have to be thinking, forward thinking. Okay, so a Well World group is great. Facebook group I mentioned, group Q&A. One of the things about these groups, or like a coaching app or supplement bundles, those types of things, is it leverages your time and your effort. It's also lower cost to the patient because it's not taking up your valuable time. So everyone wins. So it's a good thing, but you have to have tight systems to pull it off. Okay, real quick, I'm just going to flash by this because we have so much content to go over, and I have so many different things I want to talk to you about. I see some of those questions, save them. We're going to get to them. This is a download. Let's see if I can put the link in there real quick, or maybe Nathan can. It's basically tinyurl.com/patient talk. So I actually created the world's first visual personality profiling system, which was published by McGraw-Hill out of New York. You can buy the book, but you don't need to. I'm not trying to sell a book. Instead, I'm just going to give you the key parts for free. So if you just snag that, you'll get a lovely little download, and I use it for patient communication, for marketing, for branding. And I gave you a section that's never been published called Practitioner to Patient Secrets. And it is how to handle conflict and how the different personalities of your patients like don't comply or get upset. And anyway, there's some gems in there. So hopefully that will be of help. All right, let's keep going. All right, growing your business. Gotta move faster. Some essential basics: increase income, lower cost, and manage your growth phase. Because you can be sort of in a happy place, and then if you decide you're going to grow, that's always sticking your neck out and taking a leap of faith, and we want to do it in a way that, even though we can't guarantee the future, it's very, very safe and predictable, something that you can manage even when it's stretched. For example, I had colleagues and dear friends, all different licenses, chiropractors, medical doctors, osteopaths, acupuncturists, estheticians, going out of business in 2020, some having to declare bankruptcy. We pivoted. I'm happy to tell you more about that later if that's helpful, and what I did. I increased costs, the price for patients, twice in 2020, the worst time to do it. And yet we did it, and we grew. I added staff and I added doctors. So anyway, these are the tips that allow you to make those decisions if you want to. For expenses, we all do this. I have to periodically do this like 2 or 3 times a year. Go look, where do I have things that are redundant? What can I get rid of? Evaluate the biggest costs. Those are always space and people. Make sure everything's working appropriately. There's certain, percentages that you want to make sure you're hitting. And then sometimes there's like a lot of little things you might be signed up for that add up and you don't really need them. So anyway, I can tell you more about that if you have questions. Now, passive income, I mentioned you need more than just your time for money. So growing a team is one way to do it. Now, I'm just going to be completely honest with you. When you grow a team in the beginning, it's going to cost you more and take a lot of time, and you better really like running a business and admin. If not, team might not be the best thing for you, and that's okay. Everyone's different. I like to teach, so I like having a team. But some people, they do better as lone rangers or just in a partnership, or they're part of a team. But growing a team and having associates can be an investment for down the road. Products and supplements can be much faster for passive income, and you have more control over how they're used and the way they work. I recommend very high integrity recommendations, so your patients know that you're known for that. Quality products, always be honest with them. Excellent customer service on your part and any product or supplement you use. Don't be salesy, just not even needed. If you have good information, you never have to be salesy. I know how to do a great sales call, by the way. I just have no interest in it. So I've set up my business that I never have to, even when I saw all the patients by myself, I never had to get on the phone or answer an email. I can teach you how to do that. So you can always set things up for your little quirks. That's just me. Some people love that stuff. I like to leave the choice in the patient's hands and make recommendations. So I can talk about how to do that if you want. Sometimes repeat products make a lot of sense. I say no at MLM. Sorry, if you have your favorite MLM, I would say keep that for you privately. Don't ever put it in your business or associate it with it. When you do something like this, and I've consulted for very big companies where I told them, do you really want to put your name on it? Because as soon as you put your name on it, you become a salesperson. And even in MLM, as soon as you're building a team and trying to sell things like that, you're a salesperson. I don't ever want to be a salesperson. I want to be a practitioner. I want to be a teacher, and I'm going to give you the best recommendation. And like I said, if that company doesn't do a good job, I'm going to tell you a different one. And so no MLMs. Okay, paid groups, classes, and training, that's all possible too. Multi-level marketing or direct marketing. It really isn't a good idea for the practitioner level. So many reasons, what I already said, but also if you're going to make a recommendation for your patient, you want to give them a practitioner level supplement or lab or product. You don't want something that they can get on the street somewhere else. Otherwise, why do they need you? You've invested so much time and work and energy and learning to find the best things. Give them the best quality. Because one thing MLMs have in common, and sometimes they have good products, I get it, and yours might be the best. But one thing they have in common is they know how to market. They're marketing machines. I don't want to be a marketing machine for a patient, right? I want to give them good quality holistic healthcare. So these are important decisions. You get to make your own, but that's my recommendation. So take it or leave it. If I say something you don't like, just discard it. Take the things that work for you. Okay, running your practice. Let's keep going. Systems are everything. And if you're not a system person, that's okay. you get to hire a system person. And if it's your first time hiring someone or hiring a virtual assistant, you might want a scholar. If you look up that little character code, personality profiling system, scholars are really great at this. I can tell you some other types also, but if you're going to hire your first person and you're still figuring things out, what you do is you have them document it. They're going to create your office manual. They're going to create your procedures. The first time you create a group together, you say to them, I want you to write down and document this whole process so we don't rethink it next time. Now we have a system. Not only does that save you time and energy and also have your team member really learn it, but if that person moves on, you hire a new staff member, boom, here's your manual. Let's get you off to a running start. So service steps, patient flow. Those of you who want to talk about the organization of patients and your what happens in your practice, ask me in the questions and I'll answer that. Let's talk about these supplement bundles. So choices can be overwhelming, especially if you have a good company like Designs for Health. You know, they have so many things. That's why I can use them for so much. There's just very few things they don't have, right? And they actually put out new good stuff. I love that. One of the things we do is because we have 14 on our staff, and one member of our team does, just so you know, I saw the question about muscle testing. Our practitioners are all different: MD, DC, PhD, RD, CMT. I'm forgetting someone, and my apologies right now. Okay, so let's see. What was I going to say? I was talking about all the supplements. It'll come back to me. Anyway, these supplement bundles can, oh, I know what it was, the staff meeting. Sorry. We have a staff meeting every week. It's the one time everyone comes together. And our clinic is very unusual, unlike others. We have 4 times every week that I provide ongoing training. So not only do, you know, like I might have an MD come on board and they've been in practice for 23 years and have been a flight surgeon, which is fabulous and they're wonderful. They still have to go through months of training with me. And then 4 times a week, we have ongoing training. And we have a team meeting every Monday together. Everyone comes together and we do trivia. So 3 questions, and I give a prize each week. But the 3 questions are always like about a supplement, about a lab, about our charting software, about the philosophy in the office, about something we would do with patients. So it's a way to educate, but make it fun, and they're naturally competitive. And then I get to give them a prize, right? The other thing we do, and it's almost always Designs for Health because they actually make new great stuff, and Nathan's always sending it out, is I used to educate on it. Now we just assign it. So the other practitioners will take a new supplement. It's their job to look it up, get educated, and then they present it at that team meeting. So little things like that can be really helpful. Okay, Sleepless Sally. This is a bundle you could put together. And you could, if you don't know about canva.com, free. I have the paid version for a whopping $12, but you can do everything for the free version and design these lovely little graphics, or just use one of their templates. But you could put together a little thing for your patient community and talk about Sleepless Sally. You know, these patients know who they are. And a great one would be phosphatidylserine, pharmagaba, and insomnitol. And not that there can't be other ones, but here's the reason I picked that. Because I'm thinking in my mind of someone where I have the Dutch lab and, you know, I'm seeing that cortisol rise as they head into the evening instead of going down. And so I want them to take, this is my recommendation, you do yours, but sometimes I do 2 or 3 phosphatidylserine after dinner, start getting them to wind down and lower that cortisol response. And then some pharmagaba as they're getting close to bed, especially if on the Dutch, when you look at the metabolism of progesterone, if it prefers the alpha versus the beta pathway, okay, so on the right, don't worry about the numbers, look at the arrows. If that alpha pathway is more dominant, that pharmagaba is more likely to get in and pass the blood-brain barrier and support sleep. So when I see that, I'm like, all right, let's use some pharmagaba. And we joke, look at, I tell you, first of all, I have compulsive honesty. Seriously, it's a problem. Right there. See, I'm not joking about this stuff. We live what we talk. So Pharmagaba, my team will joke, oh, it was an 8 Pharmagaba day. You know, this is how we talk behind the scenes. And then insomnitol, they can take, you know, right at bedtime. I don't know if I remember all the ingredients off the top of my head, but I believe there's some 5-HTP. We've got about, I think, 3 milligrams of melatonin. There's a couple calming herbs in there. I think passion flowers in there. I have to pull it up to remember it all. But anyway, that will knock down even some of my people who need like an elephant dart, right? So Sleepless Sally, you can make it super cute. If you're in person, you can get inventory and take advantage of those sales and put a little bow around it. And don't worry, like you don't even have to spend money on inventory. Sorry, Nathan, if I'm blowing that for you, but seriously, you can drop ship everything and not have any expense. And you just let your patients know what they need. And those supplements will fly off the virtual shelf without having to cost you anything in advance, and you're still serving all your people. So, and then you're never in a sales mode, by the way. We can talk more about that. All right, hormonal holly. I'm thinking of, again, like that Dutch test, and now I've got a thyroid panel. So thyroid synergy, FemGuard plus balance, adrenatone. Grumpy Gus, male or female, right? They're irritable. So some mood stasis, love that. Lithium synergy, if you don't know about lithium, especially if people are having like emotional outbursts. You know, this is a question, you'll get little clues, and then I'll ask that, and they always say, how'd you know? Catacolicom. So anyway, putting these together and making it easy, you can build those little packages right in Well World. Again, virtual, doesn't cost you anything. And then the patients have the option to buy it or not. Easy peasy, gets sent right to them. I love it. I just love it. And if you are saying, oh, I can't think of these things, well, first of all, you're welcome to borrow those. And there's a bunch already programmed in the Well World app. In fact, before you go out and make a ton of handouts and, you know, create a lot of extra work for you. Now, hopefully the Well World people aren't on here listening, but I'm always going to tell you what I think is helpful. You can get in your Well World portal and go download all those fabulous menus that they have. So what we do is, if we have someone who likes tech, boom, we plug them right into Well World. If I have someone and they say, I'm not a tech person, then I'll you know, put the whole menu and everything right in the portal. So if you haven't seen it, it has every plan under the sun. It has a grocery list. It has what to avoid, what to use. It has an actual menu. Eat this day. It has all the recipes. You know, before Well World was in my life, I did all this by hand. I have all of this. So, you know, I'm thrilled. I just wish I'd found them, you know, 5 or 6 years ago. Okay, staffing, you're going to spend a lot of time with these people. So trust, I think, is the most important thing. Have them help you create systems and document. I said that. And then what's the culture you create? We just actually, you know, my person who's been with me the longest has been, she started, I was only maybe 6 months in. And so we've, you know, grown together and developed it. We finally just put it together in like a 6-page document, everything. And now everyone who comes in gets trained. Hey, this is what our clinic is about. This is our philosophy. This is what we believe. This is how we treat patients. So, and you get to set it up the way you want. All right, let's keep going here. All right, more running your practice, staying sane. Don't reinvent the wheel. I just give the example of like having to make all those menus yourself when, oh, here's a fabulous resource for you. So don't do that. What else can you plan, schedule, and repeat? What else can you outsource? What can you have a VA do? Let's talk a little bit about, you know, marketing is an ongoing thing. When I first started, I taught a lot of different classes, and what I learned really fast, sort of at this local, like brick and mortar that I had a physical clinic, was that, you know, it takes effort to fill the class. Even online, it does too. It just always takes effort to fill it. And I didn't want to be in that go mode all the time. It's draining. The teaching I love, that's fabulous. But the filling is like, really, to go post in one more Facebook group. I have to go send one more email and trying to think, well, okay, I need to let them know about this, but I don't want to drive them crazy. You know, it's a pain. So what I did, and again, you can do whatever you want, was I would just cluster, like I have 4 practitioner trainings this week. It's a little crazy, but then I have one more, and then I don't have any for over a month, you know, and then I have a couple months where I have it, and then I don't have any for several months. So that's what I learned, was to cluster it together. So I do something called the Body Love Challenge for patients. It's in January. We promote that first class really hardcore because the people stay, and each class is different, and it's 5 weeks in a row. So we just do it all, boom, get it done. And then I don't have to do a patient class again for like 2 or 3 months. So I just found, for me, that worked out better. And you can do it any way you want. You could plan for a whole year. If that sounds daunting, then just plan for a season. So I gave a couple examples. I've done all of these, by the way. You could do immune support packets in December. You could do the 21-day Veggie Cleanse Plus or the 14-day in January. You could do detoxification support packets in February. So, you know, plan a thing, have a free webinar, give some great content and some information, and then, you know, put people into the Well World portal and have these things available for them. All right, I already talked a little bit about the rest of that. The asking for help, besides your team and, you know, family and friends, you're going to have certain patients or people who aren't even patients, but in your community that are like your, you know, cheerleaders or ambassadors. So, you know, so just support those people and thank them for how they can help. You can't do a referral fee if you have a physician license or anything like that, but they can be great. You know, each patient might refer 1 or 2 people, and then these people, they refer like, you know, 6 to 30 people. And then time off, you have to schedule it to say staying. So if you're thinking of your marketing calendar ahead of time, you know, you want to plan your time off. This year, I took all of May off. It was great. I loved it. Highly recommend it. Whole month off. I'm doing it again next year. Okay, planning and action. Plan for adversity. Not that any of us could predict what would happen for the last year, or if you did, like, you know, kudos to you. We were sort of ahead of the game, and we actually went virtual before most people, but, you know, we were ahead of the game by like 2 weeks. So we just had to pivot quick. And I had a heavy paper office, you know. I had a, you know, online business before, so I wanted this, like, you know, I don't know, just hands-on. I had like 1,500 patient files, and then we went virtual, and oh man, that was a lot of work. So if you have questions, I'm happy to answer it. But planning for adversity, because even if you don't know what it is, you stay in practice long enough, something's going to happen. And this is also why you want multiple income sources, because then if something gets slow, like if for some reason the patient load drops off a little bit for some reason, but your groups are thriving and your supplements and products are doing very well, or vice versa, it's all good. And then you can see it and make shifts. So they support one another. So sort of rules of 3, right? At least 3. Save and build an ER fund. If you're brand new, that's fine. You're brand new, you're starting, you don't have anything. You start, you save $5, and then 50, then 500, then 5,000, but you build that ER fund. And one thing as a 5th generation female entrepreneur is I've never missed a payroll. I've never missed rent. And a lot of entrepreneurs aren't like that, but I consider that very important. So, you know, whatever you value, just put those in place. And then, even though you're going to build your baby exactly the way you like it and it's perfect, you have to be flexible because you don't know what's going to happen. So for me, I thought I was going to have this cozy, cute little brick and mortar, and it was so much fun, and I had it for years. And honestly, all we needed were like chips and guacamole, and it looked like a cute little Mexican restaurant inside with twinkle lights and beautiful music and bright colors and art on the walls, and people loved it and they just wanted to hang out in there, and it was fabulous. But even though it was hard to let go of, I had to let go of it because I mean, I could have kept it, but why? It just didn't make sense for the time. I saw what was happening. I wanted to keep moving forward. So I pivoted entirely online, and new advantages came from that. And then if I ever had to pivot again, I would. It's no big deal. You just roll with it. Planning for retirement. If you're a young one, this sounds like, weird, but honestly, the younger you start, the easier it's going to be. You want to, if you're not a financial savvy person, you do want to, grow your financial savvy, and maybe we'll talk about that another time. But if that's really not your forte, then having good people you can consult and that you trust. And I'm just, best practice, I say, this is really how I do businesses and how I do it with other people, is before I even started, I have the vision for the start and then the vision for the growth and expansion. And I know my exit. Of course, my mother drilled that into me my entire life. As an entrepreneur, you can choose to grow your business. You can choose to shrink it at any time, depending on what you need. And then, have multiple exits. Maybe you don't ever need them, but if you decide to retire or sell or move to a different state, like, what's your plan and how's it going to work? Okay, some bonus items, mostly focusing just on marketing here. Okay, I know I covered a lot of business stuff, but let's just do marketing for the bonuses. So HSP is what I call health savings plan. I can tell you how that works in our office. Some people have memberships. So some offices are insurance, some are just cash, some do membership, and some do a hybrid and have a little bit of each. It's all good. Patient retention, of course, is really important. So it's not just acquisition, but also retaining and serving those patients. Social media posting. We can talk a bit more about this. I don't know, Nathan, if we ever want to do a class more on that, but like, what's good on your personal page and how often versus keeping it, mostly personal, and then I'm talking about Facebook, and then having a page for your business, having a group closed or open. Do you have other groups, like when you run a special? So if you're going to do like let's say we're going into the cold and flu season, right? So you're going to do you're going to do the immune packets, and you're going to teach some great information, and you're going to do a closed Facebook group just for those people who are participating in that immune program for a month, and give some special engagement and pop in once and do a live Q&A, things like that. There's also paid ads. We can talk a lot about that. I would just say, typically for most people who are new, it's not in their budget and it's not necessary, but it can be great if done right. If you don't know what you're doing, it's an easy way to throw away a lot of money. So something you want to do well. Testimonials, start asking for them, collecting them. When we were in person, we had, in fact, I have it right here. We had the Happy Patient book. So super cute, has all these things in it from people. And sometimes it would be like on Yelp or Google, and we'd print it and put it in. But a lot of times they would write. We left it out in the waiting room with, a pen, and kids would do drawings. It was really adorable. Now everything's online, but, obviously I still have that. It's sentimental. And testimonials are very helpful to be able to, social proof and to put it on your website. And if you offer a group or you ever do a sales page, to be able to share that. Designs for Health e-store. If you don't know about that, they'll build it for you. Ask them yesterday, email them when we get off tonight. If you don't have one, hey, build me an e-store. And again, inventory versus drop shipping, or both, whatever serves you and your patients, go for it. You do want to be able to email your patients, so make sure you have a HIPAA compliant version. And the best thing I like is two things to happen at one time. If someone opts in at the website, it ends up on our mailing list for patients. If someone opts into the EMR, we use Jane software app. I know there's tons of great ones out there. That's what we use. Then it also ends up on that same list. So, it's connected, and they have to opt in and say it's okay. some marketing things to think about, some essentials. What are the kinds of things, especially if you do really individualized care? We do super highly individualized care. So, what are the kinds of things that, are commonly universally needed? I'm thinking of like omega-3s and magnesium and vitamin D, things like that, where, at least half of America is going to be low in it. Are you going to market yourself, or are you going to use a marketing company? That's a whole nother conversation. You do want to have at least a website. Could be a very simple one, Wix, Squarespace, something like that. Does not need to be complicated. In fact, I'm a big fan of such a simple website that you can change it yourself, because you're going to want that when you're starting and when you're growing. Later, you want a team to build it, fine. But in the beginning, that's just a lot of wasted money. And, you decide on a Tuesday you're going to raise your prices. You can, if you have a simple website, boom, 5 minutes, you click it and you raise your prices. Versus if it's something complicated, it needs a lot of code, you can't do it. You now have to email it to the team, and you have to pay for them to do it, and maybe they schedule you for next week. It's a whole process. When you do build your website, don't expect people to necessarily find you on your website. It's basically a virtual business card. So the people who are going to find you are the ones who are looking for you because you said, hey, go find me here. But you can still set it up for SEO from the beginning, simple, free, like Squarespace and Wix, two examples I'm thinking of, not that there aren't others, but they have a whole SEO that's included and will get you started. And then later, you're building your visibility organically. Then later, if you want to hire an SEO company or do ads, go for it. But in the beginning, it's really not necessary unless we have a really specific reason. Telehealth, I could talk endlessly about that. So if you have questions, let me know, but a lot of opportunities there. And then, Nathan and I had talked about, maybe doing some future classes. You guys let us know what you want, but what we were thinking was, I thought about doing one like on sleep and how to sort of lead a sleep program and do that with patients, great content and marketing, but sort of combines a lot of different things. Sometimes hiring, or what EMR, or how to do emails, those types of things, communication, compliance, clinical stuff. I teach clinical classes all the time. So really, if you have a need, I would say, email Nathan or I and let us know, and we're happy to put something together for you. Okay, we're getting to our Q&A. If you need, if this just sort of like whetted your appetite, first of all, I have tons of free recordings. You're welcome to watch them all. Most of them you don't have to opt in. You can just go snag them. They're on the functional medicine website. So this is the website. It's the functionalmedicineacademy.com. So that website, there's a tab that says login and resources. If you go there, just scroll down, you'll just see a bunch of stuff. Click on it, have at it. The other thing is, like I said, this is the first of 4 trainings this week. So hopefully you have an email, and if you want to jump in, you can. Anyone who needs individual support, you're welcome to ask me about it. That's FMA. If you're interested in that, you can get there from the website, or you can go to tinyurl.com FMA class. Those are a lot of fun. Those are the classes. So it's really not competition with any other program. Like, I studied at IFM. I love IFM. I highly recommend them. Great program. Lots of good programs out there. The only reason I even teach this, quite frankly, is because I saw so many people, even before this last year, that was crazy. I saw so many people who had what I say are all the keys to the castle, and they couldn't make it work. They could be a great practitioner. They could have a medical license. They could have every advantage in the world, and they just didn't understand. So these are very practical, very down and dirty. Here's what you do on Monday. Let's get going. That's the point of them. All right, let's do some questions. I hope you don't mind I talked fast, but I knew there was a lot to do, and I wanted to make sure I got to questions and didn't keep you up too late. So
Oh, that's huge, Dr. Z. Thank you so much. We did have a couple people asking about concierge medicine and the pricing that goes along with that. I was wondering, would you be able to speak to that at all, maybe for a few
Yes.
minutes? Cool,
I
thank
mean,
you.
first of all, you can price anything for whatever. Quite frankly, you could have $5, you get $5,000, you could have $10,000. The thing with pricing is, first of all, you have to feel okay with it. And then if you feel so okay with it, then it might be a little bit too low, actually, and you need to go a little bit higher. You need to be a little bit uncomfortable, but you don't want to be so uncomfortable that you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm charging this. So it has to make sense for you, have a little bit of a growth edge, and sort of make sense for your area and for the market. But even if you were above your local market, as long as you know how to position it, that's fine. They can work. If people are paying more for concierge service, it's because they're getting more. Maybe they have immediate access to you. Maybe they have your cell number. No one has my cell number, right? But maybe if they're paying, $5,000 to walk in the door or something else, then they have more access to you. Maybe there's more visits. Maybe labs are included. There's just a different expectation and delivery method that is expected. And so you want to make sure you get that. The other thing that comes with a higher price is, like I said, you're going to have to do a sales call. So a lot of people will advise, well, on your website, don't list prices. Do a 15-minute consult, don't list prices, just get people on the phone with you and then talk to them. Now, I do the exact opposite, because when it was just me, I didn't have time to do that all day. I mean, I did a few, but mostly I never even did a consult. So it wasn't until I put coaches in place and trained them that it was a regular thing, right? So I didn't want to do that, but I've done it in previous businesses. And so what happens is, if you're going to sell a $5,000 ticket or above, then you're going to have a conversation with someone. You need to get to know them. You need to be asking what they're looking for. You're going to have to overcome objections and, all these types of things, bring them to a point of decision. And there's ways to do all that. That's very ethical. I call it heart sales, and I teach it. I just didn't want to do it. I've done it. I have no interest in it. So I'm lazy in that way. So I like having all the prices on the website, full disclosure. People see it. They know what to expect. I have a tab that says, hey, here's functional medicine. Here's what to expect. Here's how it works. Everything is described in detail. And then they know they can opt in or not. They can look at it and say, you know what? This is not the place for me. I'm going to go somewhere else. That's fine. I would rather them know that and make that decision than we both get on the phone and waste our time. Or they go and they look at it, they see the pricing, they see what they're about, and they go, I like this place. I think I want to talk to them. And then they get on the phone and they go, yeah, that sounds good. And now we're starting to move forward. So I really wanted people pre-screened in that way.
Yes.
So if not, you're going to be doing sales conversations.
Yeah, that's very helpful for sure. Could you speak to maybe what you see as the most successful concierge model? Is it, like where you as a practitioner are on retainer, or you just, sell 20 sessions, or how would you go about modeling a concierge practice?
If you want to be like on a high retainer, I mean, my clients that do that best, they're like in Beverly Hills or what is that city? Calabasas. I can't remember what it is, but it's more of a high ticket area, maybe whatever area you're from or city or state, you know what I'm talking about. It's an area where, people wouldn't bat an eye at maybe like, oh, I'm gonna spend 20,000 this year and you're my doctor and I get 1 or 2 visits with you a month and you're on call, and that's the way it is. And that's just standard. And that's perfectly fine. But for a lot of typical urban or suburban or rural areas, that wouldn't fly. It just the market wouldn't bear it. So then if you're going to do concierge, you're looking at something like a more reasonable, maybe a couple hundred or $500 or $600 a month of a monthly fee and you could put it on an automatic payment plan. And then you could offer a discount if they want to prepay, like maybe if they prepay, they pay for 10 months instead of 12 or something like that. Make sure your state and area allows that. And sometimes you have to have very clear forms. You want to make sure it's not insurance, right? You can have a prepay discount, and you can also do payment plans, but you can't offer something that's insurance. So that's the thing you want to make sure you avoid. And then it's like any program or package you offer. Here's what you get for these things, and people can say yes or no to it. And some people really love it. I've got some clients like MDs, DOs, and nurse practitioners. They really like this membership model, and it's fine. I have no problem helping them do it. I just have to be honest. I see a lot of them burn out later, and I know I wouldn't like it because it's really so much work. Like in the beginning, it can be really exciting, but then when someone's paying that regular monthly fee, there's an expectation there. It's really hard to disconnect from that without either having someone upset or there's a partial refund or something like that. So for me personally, I prefer fee for service. Very clean. We all sleep easy. This is what you want. It's like you go to the store and you buy something. You buy it, you walk out, you've got it. To me, that's just so crystal clear. But if you like the other model, then what I would say, and this is what I advise a lot of my private clients, is don't offer an ongoing, endless, month after month, yearly model. You have to have some flexibility. Do it 4 months at a time, or 6 months at a time, or 10 months at a time. That's it. Don't do a whole year. Don't do month after month. Just make it a set time, and then they can choose to renew or not, or there's a break. But give yourself that leeway and just think for yourself. Do I want to be locked in for this period of time? Like it's almost like you sell a class. If you were going to sell a class and it was a 4-week program, it's 4 weeks and you're done. But if you sell like a high ticket membership model and it's 10 months and 6 months in, you're going, why did I do this? That's a really long time. So you want to consider these things. It doesn't mean it's not good, but just make sure it fits your personality and what you like, and you think of all those things. The other thing you have to do is whenever you do a prepay, even if there's some type of prepay or cash discount or something like that, you have to have some type of refund policy. So let's say, I'm going to take a very simple example. Let's say it was massages. Someone bought a package of 10 massages and they were able to just pay for 8. That's the equivalent, right? They got 10 massages, but they just paid for 8 because they prepaid. Well, they got to number 5 and they said, you know what? I feel great. I'm done. I don't want to do anymore. That's fine. If you just refund them like half, everyone loses. Okay, except for the patient. That sounds good to them. But you gave them that discount for a reason. You have to pay that massage therapist. It doesn't work. So what you have to do then is you go back and recalculate the first 5 at the normal price. And then whatever's left over, they get that refunded. But guess what? You can't do that unless you told them that up front and you had them sign a piece of paper that says that. So in our office, no one would get a package. If it was a paper practice, they signed a piece of paper. If we were using our, Jane software, it's digital and they just sign it online. Super easy. Just comes in their, email inbox. But it spells this out very clearly. And we even give examples with numbers. So there's no chance for confusion. And that's very important because ideally you don't ever want to charge back. I think we've had 2 chargebacks ever out of thousands and thousands of transactions. And one, the patient made a mistake and got it resolved. And then the other one, honestly, I don't remember what happened with that. But either way, we both won. One, she reversed it, it was no problem. And then the other one, I can't remember, but we had the information to back it up and it was fine. Other than that, I set things up because I don't want sales calls. I don't want refunds. I don't want chargebacks. I want as little paperwork as possible. I never want to answer the phone and I never want to answer the email. I love my patients and I love to take care of them. I just want to be the doctor with them and I don't want to do the other stuff. So that's why I set it up that way. But you don't have to do that. You can do it any way you want. Just think about these things.
That's huge. Yeah, those are a lot of considerations that we don't often think of in just trying to get out a product. So that's a great insight right there. Do you have maybe a resource that you prefer for virtual assistants?
So I'm on Facebook because I'm an old lady and that's where we hang out, right? And a lot of your patients are going to be in my age group. So even if you're not a Facebook person, you're young and hip and wondering why anyone would go on Facebook, that's where you find us. But there's groups, like huge groups with VAs. And all you have to do, like I posted for a friend, oh, someone's looking for a VA, and oh my gosh, like 58 responses. I just gave them her email, and it's too much. But what I tend to do even more than that was like practitioner groups like this, when you have access to a lot of good quality practitioners, is say, hey, here's what I'm looking for. So like our functional med labs, that's a software. Oh gosh, don't let me forget to give that gift for your people, Nathan. I'm going to forget.
You got it.
Our functional med labs, we redid everything recently, which by the way has a bunch of designs for health supplements in it. You guys don't even know that. But I wanted a practitioner to go through it and work on some editing and stuff. And so I went in a group like this and said, who wants a little side gig? Here's what I'm paying. Here's what it would take. Here's what I'm looking for. And then great. And then other people, my last VA was a referral, like 4 practitioners deep, and she's on the other side of the country, and I love her. The VA before that was also a referral. So ask around. Let me tell you, because I know some people got to go. This is what I was going to give you. Okay, this is super secret. So Nathan, you get to decide who gets this. But this is a discount code.
Oh dear.
It's FMA 50. Seriously, no one else knows this. And any of the FMA classes or even the whole program and certification, you can get half off. So that's why I said it's not written anywhere else. But FMA 50. I probably should have made it like a better secret name, but anyway, you're welcome. You're welcome to use it if you want. I'll leave it available for a little while, and then I'll take it off, because if you're like me, I'm one of those people, I place an order and I'm like, welcome 20. Will that work? No. Okay. Welcome 10,
I've done that before. I'm embarrassed.
Everyone likes a deal, right?
Of course. That's very, very generous of you, Dr. Z. Really appreciate that.
No
Just maybe a couple more questions, if we could. Since you have, I think you said 14 people underneath you, although not all of them are therapists or anything, do you have kind of a business plan or a business model to work with independent therapists underneath you?
So we have employees and independent contractors.
Okay.
So, and in California, the laws changed. So some people who didn't need to be employees had to become employees, but the practitioners are independent contractors, and you just want to make sure you meet certain, requirements for that. I give out all those forms in FMA 1. That's on Saturday. I give our intake form, our port findings. Honestly, it's like 130 pages of documents and notes. It's a lot. Yep. But you want a good, agreement that covers all those issues, because you have to think about taxes, and you got to make sure things are clearly defined, all of that. And then if they're their own corporation, that really helps too. And when you pay them, you pay their corporation. So even though we, it's almost like a co-op, right? We work together. They work for me, I work for them. And we build this together. Everyone really owns their own business, right? They're their own business people. But I'm fighting for them to succeed all the time, and training them. And then, they want Body Love Cafe to succeed. But from a business and a tax standpoint, everyone is their own business.
Yeah, I love that question. And I do know that there's a lot involved with it, much more than we can get into tonight. So maybe at some point in the future, we can talk about that, because you had mentioned that earlier in your presentation about, starting to hire people underneath you, so that you personally don't really see patients yourself. You're just kind of running the team that does. And some people on here, I'm sure, would like to kind of get more into that model. So maybe that's something we can do in the future.
I'll tell you how I did it. It was really, really graceful. It was early April, I guess end of March, early April, and I said I'm not going to see any patients past the end of April. And that was it. It was a very busy month. But yeah, they just saw all my other practitioners.
Right.
So you can make decisions. Yeah, you have to be bold, but you can make decisions in the moment. And I will tell you that whenever you do need to make a change, the easiest people to make a change with, though, are the new people, because they don't know anything different, right? So if you're going to change a look or change an offer or change a price or change the order of something or whatever you're going to do, if you're able to keep it with new incoming people, that's the smoothest. Sometimes, like my example, it's going to impact all your existing people also. But always easiest to make the change with the new people coming in.
Awesome. And yeah, we did have just one more comment, more of a comment than a question from Marjorie about perhaps in the future having a website, kind of a quote unquote create and build class or something like that to figure out, the nuances of building your own website on a Wix or something like that. That would be great. And more along those same lines, we did. I mean, I'm always amazed, Dr. Z, at how you're able to go through so much content in such a short period of time. Hit on so many different topics tonight. And like I was saying at the beginning, there's no way that we can do a deep dive into each one of them, but let us know what particular subjects. I highly encourage you to go back and listen to the recording and just, don't be overwhelmed with all this stuff like, oh my gosh, I have to put in all this stuff next year in my business. No, just pick one or two things. It's just a slow growth for your business that you really want to hone in on. It could be well world, could be labs. I love the thing about growing your team, getting rid of inventory. That's huge. Planning for retirement. That's something a lot of people don't think about. What are we going to do with the business when you're ready to retire? That sort of thing. So I absolutely love this presentation tonight. If you guys did have any questions or comments, keep them coming in. We definitely want to provide more content for you as the year progresses.
Yeah, I'd love to teach a lab class for you guys and pair it with supplements. So, like, oh, patient A is in front of me. What lab should I order? What supplement should I give them right now? Like, what do I have to hold on? Like, they can't take the supplement till after they do the lab, and then they start taking these supplements, and then I get the results. Here's what the results look like. Now I switch over to these supplements. So I do that all the time. That stuff is so much fun to train on. So yeah, if you like that, let Nathan know. The boring stuff, the paperwork is so boring, but it's necessary. And like HIPAA compliance, very few offices are truly HIPAA compliant, and the fines are steep. So I can always tell you more about what it takes to just check those off your list and know you're good and done with that. But otherwise, that clinical stuff and making those decisions and connecting with the patient and then interpreting those labs and seeing the changes, like, that's the best part, right? That's the really exciting, fun stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one question that did come in from Claudia, I kind of like this question because she talks about, do you change your pricing for long-standing patients that have, been with you for a long time? Are you wanting to discount them or not?
Let me tell you a really cool trick. This is like one of the easiest ways to have a sale and you're not having a sale. So if I know, I've done this more than once. So like right now is the perfect time, because a lot of times people raise prices, right? Sometimes the supplement companies do, the lab companies do around January. So we have this health savings plan, which is sort of like a modified membership option. And we just told them, the price was going to go up, I don't know, $200, $250 or something. So they could buy, this was the sale, they could buy next year's health savings plan at this year's price. And so we did that for 30 days. And they're basically, paying in advance for next year. They're not getting a discount because it's the price it is right now anyway, but they were able to buy it right now before the price went up. And it's because they're existing patients. And, we have to increase the price just because of expenses and people, I don't want to gouge anyone. So, hey, let's do something cool for all our regular people. They're thrilled. And things like that, if you plan. I remember there was a time where we were doing a big leap, and we did something like that, and it brought in like an extra 30K in 2 weeks, right? So if there's time, this is how you learn to be your own bank. So if you need something like that, you needed a little bit of cash flow, you could go get a $30,000 loan at the bank, or you could put 30,000 on your credit card, or you could do something like what I just said, and you would have 30,000 all at one time, and you're your own bank, and you don't have to pay interest. Do your little growth mode. You're going to keep serving your patients, right? And then that's covering some other services for next year, but no worries, because you're going to be doing the next thing, right? So that's just an example of how you can
That's
be your
huge.
own bank and not be in debt.
I think the biggest part of that what you said, it's a strategy. You need to come up with a strategy. You can't just kind of throw things out there. There needs to be a reason behind all the things that you're doing. And one thing I'll say is that FMA 50, if you guys want to use that for one of Dr. Zachary's classes at thefunctionalmedicineacademy.com, it's a great place to start. And just like she said, she doesn't work for Designs for Health. I don't work for her, the Functional Medicine Academy or anything like that. But she's been such a great resource. And I've known a few practitioners that have benefited from her knowledge and everything. And I know each and every one of you on here tonight is in it to win it for next year. There's no other reason why you would be spending your evening with us tonight if you weren't devoted 100% to your practice. So I'm really excited with all the content that we're going to be giving you over the next year or so. To see where you are going to be at the end of 2022. It's going to be a great year for everybody. So, Dr. Zachary, did you want to wrap it up? One last thing to say, maybe?
Yes. Again, I just agree wholeheartedly. Thanks for spending time with us, and we'll try to be as available as possible. And yeah, if you end up in FMA, that's great. Just so you know, these free classes are like an hour, and they're great. When we do an FMA class, we spend like the whole day together. So just know we get a lot of each other. But if you can't ever make it live, you can watch the recording, no worries. But that is the deep dive. So and then just go out there and be awesome. When you tie up these loose ends and the paperwork and the marketing, you get systems, it buys you freedom. So you do the boring, yucky stuff, so then you get to have all the fun, and you get to have time off, and you can choose to grow or not, or just like, go hang out on top of a mountain. But these systems create freedom for you in the long run.
100%. Absolutely. Love it. Thank you, Dr. Zachary. Thank you, everybody, for spending your evening with us. Really, really appreciate it. Here's to 2022. Let's go after it for sure. Take care, everybody. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.